Hello and welcome to the Do Not Disturb Football Podcast. My name is Drew Pelter, and that is Nimmer. We are without Darian tonight. He is planning a baby shower. Definitely something we understand him missing the show for. Um, I know tonight is election night. If you're here spending your time with us, thank you. You definitely don't have to do that. We are tuned into the elections just like you are. I hope whoever you voted for wins. Uh,
Only if it's a candidate that I voted for. No, I'm just joking. I'm just glad this stupid thing is over, honestly. No more flyers, no more random text messages. I got like
I
3
hope.
calls today about
I hope those are
voting.
done. I'm gonna
Oh
be
my
pissed
god.
if I get calls and texts tomorrow too.
Oof, I'm gonna be pissed.
But Nim, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Unfortunately, this week I got a big fat L in our league. Hook is my superior, and I am only a minion in Hook's world. Perhaps, however, it kind of aligns perfectly because I'm in 4 leagues. In all 4 of those leagues, I'm 6-3, which is kind of cool. How like all 4 of my leagues, I'm the exact same record. So, but other than that, it was a nice relaxing weekend, and just hanging out. Had a nice trade today, so
Couple trades.
yeah, I had a couple trades today. So it was a very productive day today. It was a very productive day today.
Yeah, looking at the app, it says that I have an 81% chance of making the playoffs. I don't believe that, but we'll we'll see.
I don't think you're
I
in
got
the bottom 4 though. I mean, you have to think about like 6 out of the 4 teams, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So,
I mean, I definitely don't think Devin's in the bottom four, and he is right now.
oh, true. True. Is he
It's
tied
very
for with Rick?
yeah, him,
Uh,
Ricky. So that it's pretty. I think it's going to come down to me, Ricky, and Devin for the last couple spots.
Dang. Yeah,
And
that's true.
I've got Hook this week, which I don't feel very good about. And I've got Ricky next week with Christian McCaffrey a
Oh my
week
god. If he
healthy.
comes
So
out and makes playoffs, honestly, I applaud Ricky because he had his first 2 picks hurt and he still hasn't made the lowest. He hasn't scored the lowest amount in our team. So
yeah,
applaud him.
he's
That's
his,
crazy.
his team has been through a lot this year for
Yeah,
sure.
it's just and then he got Shaheed, and he ended up getting hurt. So
He's had Jamison Williams who's gotten suspended.
it was just insane. The fact that he's never got us the lowest scoring is just wild. Sorry, Alice. Come here, Nala. Come here. Come here. Oh my God. Come look, almost. Come
Aw,
here. This is
little
what.
costume.
Yeah. Come here, Mick. Come here.
Jeez. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then almost, but I can't carry him like that. So. Come here. Nah, he's being there. So that's what
I'm
Alejandro's
glad.
doing while I'm over here working.
I'm glad you're still in the holiday spirit.
He's like, I'm glad you're still in the holiday spirit, even though people dress up like for Christmas. That's funny. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, we are live.
Well, tell LA I said hello.
Yeah, Drew said hi, and so does the chat. That's funny. But yeah, it
There's
makes it exciting though. Going back to the standings, that's pretty cool. I like that. And then we have
yeah.
Quaz, Darian, and Austin fighting for that last place spot.
It's crazy that Darian scored the second highest
So-
amount of points, and
Man,
he's fighting for the not getting last.
if you look at his team, honestly, it's just like
It's so good.
insane.
It's such a good team.
So good.
I
It's
don't even know
insane.
how it happened. It's just bad
Same.
luck.
Poor Darian.
Yeah. But let's get into the injury report. It is definitely shortened up a little bit over the weeks. But we'll start in Atlanta. Falcons wide receiver Drake London. He is questionable with a hip injury. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. He is questionable with a knee injury. I'm assuming he's going to play, but he's been on the injury report for the past couple weeks. Their running back Keaton Mitchell, who kind of popped onto the scene last year, he's supposed to return this week. Bills wide receiver Amari Cooper, he missed last week's game. He is questionable with that wrist injury again this week. Bengals running back Zach Moss, he's been placed on an IR for a neck injury. Dallas quarterback Dak Prescott, he's expected to miss multiple weeks with a hamstring injury. We'll talk about him here in a second. Wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, he's questionable with an AC joint injury. I've heard that he's probably missing this upcoming game, but it's not a terribly serious AC joint injury. Jaguars wide receiver Gabe Davis, he is questionable with a shoulder injury. Vikings kicker Will Reichard, he has been put on IR with the quad injury. That's my kicker in fantasy, so I love that. Giants wide receiver Darius Slayton, he's questionable with a concussion. Eagles running back Saquon Barkley is questionable with a back injury. Buccaneers wide receiver Jalen McMillan, he's questionable with a hamstring injury, and he missed last night's game. Titans running back Tajay Spears is questionable with a hamstring injury. Will Levis is still questionable, and Commanders running back Brian Robinson Jr. is still questionable with that hamstring injury he missed Sunday's game with. Let's get into some of the Week 9 games, any reactions that we have. You had the Buccaneers lose to Kansas City last night. There was a missed false start on the 7-yard line again by Juwan Taylor that the refs didn't call, and
What's
Chiefs won the
crazy is
game.
just watching that game, I was like, I wonder how the refs are gonna. It's like it's bad to say, and I hate thinking this, but I'm like, I wonder how the refs are gonna, like, go in favor of the Chiefs. Like, but I don't know.
That one last night was such a blatant false start. I don't even know how it wasn't called.
He does it every single game, and they never call him. Even like the Ravens game, the first game of the season, they started penalizing Baltimore, but then never penalized the Chiefs. It's just like you see this every single game, and I know the other coaches are sending tapes to the NFL saying this is happening over and over and over and over and over and over again. Why are they not calling it? And they continue not to call it.
Yeah. The Bills edge out Miami with a game-winning field goal. Chargers thumped the Browns. Jameis Winston was out there throwing picks left and right.
Jeez.
Titans beat the Patriots in overtime. Saquon and the Eagles hurdle over the Jags. If you saw that play, you know what I'm talking about. Rams beat Seattle in overtime, and the Panthers upset the Saints. There's some more games, but those were kind of the ones of note, I thought. Any reactions to any of those games?
No, I mean honestly, I know we did the halfway point last week, and you guys said Derrick Henry should be the offensive player of the year. But I mean, come on! That after that play, Saquon should just automatically win it. That play was unbelievable. And then we had the I mean, there were so many good plays too. This was like a highlight reel in just week 9. Like Thursday we had Garrett Wilson, and then we had Saquon, and then I mean, there's so many plays. Just that specific game of the Eagles, like it was insane. But yeah, no, I mean it was a good Sunday. All the people that were supposed to win pretty much won. I think the bets or the public was like 10-4 or something like that, or I don't remember. In money line, like I don't know if it was the actual spread or whatnot, but so yeah, it was a good week 9.
Yeah, watching that Saquon play, I said out loud, "What in the Spider-Man was that?"
Bro, when I saw that, I was just like, "Oh my!" Like, just everybody's reaction, just my jaw just dropped, just like, it was just insane. The fact that it
That
was
was
just
crazy.
backwards, you know what I mean? And he like saw it coming, just jumped up, and then the
I
defender
like
just, I would have just stood up. Like, I don't know what I would have done. I've never got hurdled before, so
I'm getting hurt. I don't. He's probably the first
backwards.
person to ever get hurdled backwards.
I was watching the Pat McAfee show in that Monday, and they're like, "There's gonna be so many kids trying to do that, and there's just ass to face, ass to face." It was
You already
hilarious.
know when they're watching film in the Jaguars room and that play
Oh
comes up.
my god!
That guy is just gonna be like so shrunk into his seat.
I would have walked off the field. I mean, or like congratulate him, or I don't know what I would have done. That was just an unbelievable play. It was insane.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
But there was some trades that happened all around the league today. Um, Tre'Davious White, he was traded from the Rams to the Ravens. Preston Smith was traded from Green Bay to Pittsburgh. Marshawn Lattimore, the corner from the Saints, he was traded to Washington. Zadarius Smith was traded from Cleveland to Detroit. Khalil Herbert was traded from Chicago to Cincinnati. And the Panthers trade wide receiver Jonathan Mingo to the Cowboys. Nimmer, which one of these guys do you think is going to make the most impact?
The Smith was Smith to the Lions, right? Who went to the Lions?
Zadarius Smith.
It's a Darius Smith. I think that they're looking for an edge rusher, and they got one. It's going to be interesting. And I saw something where it was like they even want both of them to him and Hutch to play in if they get to the Super Bowl. Like they want both of them to play in the Super Bowl. So this is long term. That's really the only missing. Well, I shouldn't say the only missing piece, but that's one of the big missing pieces that are really holding the Lions back. Even though they look great this Sunday in the rain, but um, but yeah, so I think that was a big impact. As a Steeler fan, I'm pretty disappointed. I mean, like, I don't get what the hell we are doing. Like, why do we go
Oh,
get?
I didn't mention Mike Williams. Mike Williams traded
Yeah,
to the Steelers.
Steelers. That and like, why do we need another middle linebacker? I mean, why do we need another linebacker, another edge rusher? We have. I mean, for depth, I get, but like, come on. Like, there's no other positions that we could have traded for. We could have traded for offensive lineman, or I don't know what we could have done. But that whole Mike Williams thing, like we're gonna get, or what we should be happy because we got the Jets third, the wide receiver 3. Like, what? Why should we be happy? We literally could have got D Hop for the exact same price. Like,
Yeah.
what? And then even Adams for a third round. I would be more than happy to get Devontae Adams for a third round. Granted, he probably wanted to go to the Jets, and that had something to do with him going with Aaron Rodgers. But he said that the Steelers wanted, or the Steelers were also on his list. So, like, but now we're gonna get Mike Williams, who this is his third. This is his third year, right? I think he has 2 more years on his rookie contract. I believe
Mike
so.
Williams.
Yeah.
He's
Or is
been
he old?
in the league.
Oh.
Yeah, he's been in the league for a while.
Oh, no. Okay. Who am I thinking of then? I thought, because he got drafted by the Chargers, right?
Yeah.
So he's been on the Chargers, went to the Jets for less than a year, and then now he's on the Steelers, and we're supposed to be happy. What the
He's
hell?
very injury prone too.
Yeah, like, and he didn't even do well on if he was exploding on the Jets, it would be one thing. But he did so bad that they had to go and get another wide receiver. Like, what the hell? That's what we need? Somebody to go that another team, the Jets, who are 2-7, they're like, all right, we need to go get another receiver because our wide receiver number 2 is bad. So, oh, you know what? Let's just ship him off to Pittsburgh. Like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know how many. Sorry, go ahead.
No, after you.
I don't know how many games he's played in the past 3 years, but I bet if we did a little bit of research, it's not a lot. He's missed a lot of games. I thought the Preston Smith move was good though, just because you've seen Highsmith get hurt, and then there's kind of like, that defensive line kind of decreases in value when he's not there. So if that does happen again,
Yeah, but I feel like it was. I think they said it was like a 6th-round pick. I think, right? Which he's a great
probably.
linebacker. I mean, I'm glad that he's on our team, but I feel like it was just. I don't know. I feel like it was just a little unnecessary. I feel like we should have went more offensive than defensive, but Mike Tomlin
Really
isn't
isn't
about that.
Really isn't a ton of like O linemen that get traded. That's kind of
Yeah,
rare.
that's true. I was just thinking of what we actually need, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not. I was anticipating a bigger impact with our trades because we are in the hunt for pretty much every big receiver except D Hop for some reason. I don't know how that got slipped through the cracks, but and obviously Amari Cooper, but that's in the same division. But every other big named receiver we were in the runnings for, so and then all of a sudden we never got them, and then now we have to settle for Mike Williams. Like it's kind of BS, but also
Yeah.
Lattimore, right, to the Commanders. Is that who it was? The cornerback.
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
that's going to be a huge impact as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think if I were to answer that question, that would be the one I think is going to make the most impact. He is probably a top 5 corner in this league. You've seen the players that he's lined up against, and he has done really good work against guys like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, uh, Julio Jones, like some really, really talented receivers. He's had some really good games against those guys. So for a defensive backfield that has kind of struggled this year, I think he's going to make a huge impact.
And with a team emerging like that, who's number one in the division, getting a cornerback and getting that piece that you're missing, kind of like the Lions, like that's like perfect.
Yeah, I like the Zadarius Smith move as well. They needed something because they had Hutchinson go down with that terrible leg injury that he suffered, and they had Davenport on the other side go down. So both their edge rushers went down this year. So they needed to do something. Today
Yeah.
was the trade deadline. It ended at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I thought there was a chance that Cortland Sutton would be on his way to Pittsburgh.
Oh, see, like I would have liked him. I would have much rather had him um, than Mike Williams, but I feel like him and Bo Nate, like he's been doing really well this year.
Yeah,
Like I would really like that, but I don't think.
I'm
Go ahead.
I'm assuming teams called Denver about trading people. I'm assuming Denver's asking price is just too high.
Yeah, which I get, like especially with it. I mean, I feel like this was supposed to be a rebuilding year for Denver, and the fact that they're doing well, just kind of shows. All right, well, should keep these pieces and just start adding different pieces, especially like Sutton, or we need a wide receiver one instead of drafting a wide receiver one. I'm a very big component of like trading and bringing in veteran guys and proving guys instead of just drafting and gambling on these guys that you really don't know if they're going to pan out or not. Really, like 20% of the draft picks actually pan out. Um, so that's a smart move by Denver, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been pretty annoyed if Cortland Sutton was traded for a 6th or 7th round pick. I would have been like, why? Like,
Yeah.
that's like all these receivers that have been traded. I'm like, you're telling me the Chiefs couldn't give you anything more than a 5th round pick for DeAndre Hopkins?
Exactly. No, it's not even the Chiefs. Anybody else. You're telling me that anybody else couldn't have asked for a 4th-round pick for D Hop. But that's my rage cage. But yeah.
Oh, I guess we'll hold off then. Let's get into some of the news. Saints, they went and fired their head coach Dennis Allen. He had been there for probably 4 years now. I don't remember
Oh,
exactly, but
sorry. Bad graphics.
it was interesting how they went from the first two games. Everyone was kind of putting a crown on the Saints, saying that this was
Yeah.
going to be a new Saints team, to losing. I think they've lost 6 straight or something like that, and they fired Dennis Allen. What was your reaction to this?
I was actually really shocked because it's like, how are you gonna blame the coach when you're just injured all over? I mean, Derek Carr just came back, then all of a sudden, Olave got injured like the first half of the game. Like, how are you gonna blame the coach for those injuries? Which is very unfair. Like you said, the beginning of the year they're doing really really well until that injury bug hit the Saints, and then they started decreasing. So as an owner, you kind of should anticipate that and give your coach some type of slack because of that. But it's just crazy that Derek Carr was a quarterback for him 2 times. Both times he got fired midseason. So
Yeah. Yeah. Dennis Allen, I know him because he coached for the Broncos. I think he was our head coach at one point, and we fired him. Then he went to the Raiders. They fired him. Then he went to the Saints, and he just got fired from the Saints. So
jeez.
he's doesn't really have the best track record as a head coach. He is a good defensive mind, so I'm assuming he'll go somewhere else as a DC next year, or maybe even this year, but probably next year, and he'll do good at that. I do wonder what the Saints kind of do moving forward. Do they go with Kubiak, the offensive coordinator,
Mm.
as the head coach? Because he really impressed a lot of people those first 2 weeks. They were kind of giving him all the credit.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Especially because, like, usually offensive coordinators, there's a lot of teams already looking for him, like you mentioned, as a head coach. So why not, since you don't have a head coach, why not see if this head coach is going to pan out?
I think that's probably their best option.
Yeah.
See how he
100%.
finishes the season. Then if you think he's good enough, go next year with him and maybe sign him to a long-term contract after that. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things have to go right for that to happen. A little bit of ugliness that happened over Twitter.
I did it again. I'm sorry.
It's all good. Um, Michael Thomas went at Derek Carr, sent out a bunch of tweets. Some of the tweets sounded like, Derek Carr, for you, I've been telling y'all, effing sad. Dude's scared and panics and just throws the ball. Get him the F out of here. He is so ass. Uh, he also said that year his buddy went first team first team All Pro in 2022. He needed 180 targets just to catch 100 passes. He is I don't even know what that one means, but he 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 kept going at Derek Carr. There was some rumors when Carr got to New Orleans that Carr wasn't getting the ball to Michael Thomas, and Michael Thomas was having a lot of fits behind the scenes. And a lot of people speculated that he was jealous of Olave and the attention that Olave was getting. So, what was your reaction to this, Nimmer?
Yeah, I mean, I think it. I saw this. Another thing is that, like, he started doing like hospital passes, so he trying to like show that I'm injured and stuff like that. And it's like, then all of a sudden the same game he throws a hospital pass to Olave, like, not looking good. And I understand that if this was like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, somebody that actually has a resume. But the fact that Derek Carr doesn't have a resume and he's like that, like this doesn't look good for Derek Carr, especially because like the season that he's had so far, like I said, the Saints have been ridiculed with injuries and stuff like that. So all of a sudden you have a loss and then you lose to the worst team in the NFL, and then you get questions about this. Like that kind of sucks at the same time, but I don't know. I'm glad we nowadays in 2024 we have a platform where ex players can kind of voice their opinion instead of the speculation. Because I remember when Michael Thomas was in the league, everybody thought he just dropped off, and that was when Chris Olave kind of boosted up. So, um, you know, it's kind of crazy that a couple years later we actually knew what happened. Depending on what you believe, every coin has two sides, but yeah, this doesn't look good on Derek Carr's in the light of Derek Carr.
Some even more things Michael Thomas said. He said that Derek Carr needs to get his ass whooped.
Yeah,
And
just
Derek Carr responded after the game. He said, I have love for Mike. When he does that, I don't really care for it. Obviously, I've had so many teammates over the years, and he's like the one dude that didn't get along with me. I don't know what I did to him. I don't know why he feels that way. I'm sorry for whatever he's dealing with.
so he took.
So I think, yeah. For Michael Thomas, I've always kind of felt a certain way about Michael Thomas just because he had one of the greatest years for wide receivers. I can't remember what year that was, 2017 maybe.
Maybe 18.
Yeah, I can't remember what year that was, but he had a great year. And then ever since that year, really nothing more than that. He got hurt 2 years ago, had an ankle injury that pretty much took him out for 2 straight years or something like that. This seems just like sour grapes from him. It's kind of sad to see, because there was a point where I thought maybe the Broncos would go sign Michael Thomas because that Sean Payton connection. But it just seems like no one really believes in Michael Thomas anymore, which is kind of sad. But to be calling out Carr like this, I don't really know what it does for you.
Yeah.
Like, you get some attention on Twitter. Some people look at you like, oh, he's saying all this stuff. I mean, I heard some rumors that he's the next Antonio Brown. These are Antonio Brown statements. So, like, there's two sides of the coin that you're going to get, and I don't think you're going to like one of those sides. One of those sides is going to be a very ugly side. So I don't really know what Michael Thomas was trying to accomplish by doing all this. Derek Carr, I've always been a fan of Derek Carr. I would say that as time has gone on since that injury that he had back in, I don't even know what year that was, but he had a really good year, and then he snapped his leg in half. That was like Carson Wentz first year in Philly, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think that was when they went to the Super Bowl, and then Nick Foles took over and the Eagles won. I think it was that year.
Yeah, it was.
Derek Carr was in MVP talks that year, and then he snapped his leg, and to me, he's never been the same since. And it seems like every single year Derek Carr starts really hot. It's like you're like, man, who is this guy? Derek Carr is like the best. And then by game 5, game 6, like everyone's like, yeah, it kind of sucks.
Yeah. No, that's a good. And how many years? I wonder how many years. I don't know off the top of my head. I should have done more research, but I wonder how many years Michael Thomas and Derek Carr really like played together. It wasn't that long. It was like a year or two. Like
I think it was like a year.
So you're gonna judge somebody off the 2 years? Like, I don't know. I think Derek Carr did take the high road, and I think he is right that something else might be going wrong in his life, and he's just trying to take it out or wants more attention, or maybe, I don't know, but it's not looking good. It's kind of just messed up to show like then you have people thinking like, all right, yeah, Derek Carr isn't a hole because look at what he just did to Chris Olave, or oh, is that why Deontay didn't want to come back, or is that why he left the Raiders? Like there's so much speculation, especially in the media in 2024, that it's just unnecessary to even say that. But
Yeah, it is. It is kind of crazy too, because it does seem like Derek Carr does throw those hospital passes. Even with Devontae Adams, there was like times in that receiver show where they were showing all the hits that Devontae takes playing with Carr, that it seemed like a much big difference from that to Aaron Rodgers.
yeah, no, definitely, it's yeah. But that's the thing. Like, if you do that, if you just say like, "Oh, he threw bunch of hospital passes at me," like you're stating you're a old football player. Like old football players state their opinion all the time because they obviously have a lot more experience than the average viewer. But then you saying like, "Oh, somebody needs to go kick his ass," or he needs to fall off a cliff or whatever. All the bad things that he said. Like that's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
But
And for Chris Olave, man, the replay of that injury he had was bad. He suffered his third concussion. It's the second one of this season. I think he's had two more head injuries documented in college. So quite a few head injuries. I know I don't know how true it was, but I saw a story on Instagram that he's considering wearing a Guardian cap. And I think he should, honestly, at this point.
it doesn't even look that bad. I mean, you see the Guardian caps being worn. Pretty much every single team has them. At least one player wearing them. So it doesn't look
on,
really bad, but
on certain helmets, it looks terrible. Like the Niners
yeah,
helmet.
the Bucks helmet last night it looked bad, but
Yeah. The Niners is so bad because like everyone else has this shiny gold, and then their Guardian cap's like a
God,
bland, like
yeah.
yellow.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But like you really have to like pay attention. Like it's not I don't think it's that big of a deal, especially if you're have a history of concussions and this is supposed to actually help you play. Like I still think
Yeah.
Tua should even wear one, but that's a different conversation for a different day.
Yeah. We wish Olave a speedy recovery as always.
Definitely.
Another injury that happened was Dak Prescott. He is set to miss multiple weeks with a hamstring injury. He was quoted after the game by saying, I felt it on the third play, a little scramble to the left. Didn't think much of it, to be honest with you. And then the next play, throwing the stop route, I pulled something. It was something I've never felt before. Tried to walk on it at that point, and then saw the medical team and asked if I could make it any worse. So looks like he's going to be missing a while. For him not to feel a hamstring pull before is surprising to me.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. What?
I wonder if like the IT band popped because I've had that happen before, and that's a weird feeling. You feel like you may have like torn your knee up, but really your IT band just popped.
Yeah, that would be scary. Couldn't even imagine. Damn. I mean,
But
yeah. I think I think a part of it also is he's just fed up with the team right now. So, I
yeah,
mean,
they caught him on the sideline saying we effing suck.
yeah, like come on. I feel like a hamstring injury. I mean, I'm not saying that he's faking it or anything like that, but I think that he's definitely making it a lot worse than it actually is, in my opinion. Because like usually, I don't I don't remember seeing when something happens to your hamstring. You're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like you start doing that, and he just like laid on the ground and I don't know. It didn't really seem like that big of an injury. Maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist or something, but I don't know. He just got paid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So that would lead us to Cooper Rush is going to start in his absence.
Over Trey Lance, that's crazy.
Well, Cooper Rush was the one that came into the game when Dak went out.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I
So
don't. Is he? Did they say he's gonna start this next game though?
I guess they haven't really announced it, but I think Cooper Rush has always been second string on the depth chart.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean Trey Lance is.
But why trade him for a fourth rounder then? Like that doesn't make sense.
I think people saw this potential with him, and when you watch him play, like I've seen Trey Lance play in the preseason, and you see the potential. You see that he has potential to be sort of like a Jalen Hurts kind of quarterback,
Hmm.
but he's very turnover prone. He makes really dumb plays. He isn't very accurate. Just stepping back and dropping back and throwing the ball, he's not very accurate. So I think it's safe to consider him a bust now. But
That's crazy.
huge, huge bust. I mean, he was drafted third overall, I think, in that draft that he
Yeah.
came out of. How do you think Cooper Rush does? I guess if we want to account for Trey Lance, how do you think the Cowboys do with a backup quarterback?
I think that the backup quarterback that them losing Dak is not gonna change anything. I think they're still gonna not do that well. There's their defense needs help. Their offense needs help. Their their office needs help. That team just needs help all over. Um, I don't think that them losing Dak is that big of a difference. That you know the Cowboy fans should be hopeful.
And we called this on the show. We said that the Cowboys weren't going to be good this year.
Hmm.
So looks like we got that one right.
Yeah.
For Cooper Rush, I went back and watched the last game he played as a starter today.
Wow.
I didn't watch the whole game. I just watched a couple highlights because I remember that game, and I remember that stint of when Cooper Rush played for 5 games or whatever it was,
And he did good.
and he did well. And we always go through this cycle where a new quarterback steps in, he has a good couple of games, everyone flips out, the media is like, oh, this guy's the guy, and then people get some tape on him, and then it starts to get worse and worse. His last game against the Eagles, it was week 6 of 2022. He went 18 of 38, 181 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions.
Jeez.
If you watch that game, I think there was a lot of there. I think there was some Cowboys fans out there saying Cooper Rush is better than Dak. I'm here to tell you that's not the case. I watched that game over again, and he probably should have thrown like 5 picks that game. There was a point where it seemed like he was melting down, and it was just going to be a turnover fest
Oh
in
my
that
god.
game. That was a really good defense by the Eagles that year, but I wouldn't be very excited as a Cowboy fan right now for this to be happening.
Yeah, they probably all burned their jerseys anyway. I don't get what the hate with Dak Prescott is. Like, why do people not think that he's a good quarterback? Is he a great quarterback? Absolutely not. Top 10? Absolutely not. But he's still in the top half of the quarterback conversations. Like, why? I would say he would be like 15, 16, honestly, top. So why do people like not think that he's that good? Because he can't win in the playoffs?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are like Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, um, some other guys that are like within that sphere, that
Mhm.
that tier in the NFL. They all kind of play the same. They do really well in the regular season. At times, that offense that they're running in seems very, very good. Then when the lights get bright, they're terrible.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess.
There's really only a few quarterbacks in this league that can win it all.
Yeah. No, definitely. But I'm just saying, like, to go from he sucks, you know what I mean? Like, all right, he's good. He can't win in the playoffs, but it's better than sucking. You know, I mean, how many teams don't have a quarterback and they completely suck? So would
Yeah.
you rather have that, or would you rather win in the regular season and, miss playoffs? I don't know. I guess it's weird because the Steelers are kind of in that predicament now. So it would be kind of nice to have a high draft pick and have pick up a good quarterback in the draft. Not this Kenny Pickett BS, but I don't know. It's weird.
And Jerry Jones, he hinted after the game before the trade deadline that they have some things coming. He said Cowboys have some things in the mill. he he said that they have to improve their roster. And today they bring in wide receiver Jonathan Mingo from the from the Panthers, and that's all they did. So it's just this Dallas Cowboys team is so funny. Like, they're just hilarious. He constantly says this. Jerry's constantly saying something like, "We're all in," or "We're gonna make some changes before the deadline," or "We're gonna win the Super Bowl." And today they bring in a guy that was the wide receiver 4 on the Panthers, a second-year guy who really hasn't popped onto the scene at all, and that's all they did.
This is so funny. It's like in the offseason where he's like, "Oh yeah, we're all in," and they just signed fucking Zeke.
Yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott. It's like, oh, that's all in. That's what you're doing when you're all in, and then now you're surprised that you're 2-7. Interesting. Okay. It's so funny. That guy is such a joke.
I hope Mike McCarthy enjoyed his time in Dallas, because I think it's coming to an end here soon.
Yeah, I think he wants to be out of Dallas anyway, to be completely honest. I mean, have you ever I was watching something, it's like, I don't think I've ever seen Mike McCarthy that angry before, that he had to throw the Microsoft Surface or whatever. Like, I don't think he's ever been that mad before. Like,
I don't think I've ever seen him get mad at all.
Yeah, where he lost composure. Like,
yeah,
he'll get picked up by somebody else though.
As a head coach,
I think so. I mean, you don't think the Saints want to be where the Dallas Cowboys were?
Maybe like the Titans.
Ooh, the Titans would be interesting. That would be interesting.
Let's get into our hot takes. We have our Hot Take Tuesday. This is the segment that we've brought to you every week. For Hot Take Tuesday, we always bring some sort of idea that we've gathered from watching this past weekend, and we present it to you. Maybe we believe it 100%. Maybe we don't. But, Nimmer, what is your hot take today?
So we kind of just mentioned that Mike McCarthy probably is not going to go into Dallas or is not going to be a Dallas Cowboy next year, or coach the Dallas Cowboys. Another coach, but the Saints head coach just got fired. Another coach who I think is also in the hot seat, and it might take one, maybe two losses for them to just cut the plug. And that's Nick Sirianni. I don't think that he is going to be in the I don't think that he is going to be Philadelphia Eagles coach for the remainder of the year, for the entirety of the year. I think they might even lose to the Dallas Cowboys next week, the way that they played in the second half against the Jaguars. If they play like that against the Dallas Cowboys with a brand new quarterback where they have um, very little tape on, and then they might lose. And if they lose to the Dallas Cowboys, he is definitely gone. The fans are booing him. The fact that I feel like he just doesn't even care anymore about his job anymore. The fact that he was going for two for no reason. Like there was literally no reason for him to go for two on two or three different plays. He's going on it for um, fourth and long. It wasn't even like a what is it called, a tush push. Like so, and you have the fans booing him. Usually, when a team is 6-2, those wins kind of mask all the the mistakes that the coach makes, the players make. There's not really any drama that comes with the 6-2 teams. They're usually on the high pedestals. They're like, "Oh, this team is so good," blah blah blah. Blah. But the Philadelphia Eagles, that is not what they are saying. Whether the media, the fans, it's just a matter of time where Nick Sirianni just has a loss to the Cowboys, to the Giants, to one of these bad teams, these 2-7 teams, and they're going to kick him to the curb. And it pains me to say because I originally really liked him, but after he started like talking crap to the fans this year, he's out the door. There's absolutely no way that he continues on being a Philadelphia Eagles coach.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation because I feel like he's taking a lot more credit than he should.
Yeah, 100%. He lost
It's
his
like
yeah.
it's a great organization with a great owner that makes a bunch of moves and puts like a great roster together every single year.
Yeah. They arguably have the best roster in the NFL. Roster
Yeah,
wise, like not the play, but like if there's a fantasy team, you can build the fantasy team against the Eagles with the Eagle
yeah.
players, but no other team. And then they're 6-2. You know what? You can't start trading people away. Why would you trade all these good players away? You know, but there's only one viable thing to do.
So my hot take this Tuesday. Um, First, I'll give you the backstory. The Chicago Bears they have started the season. They looked good to kind of start the season. I was saying that they were maybe putting together a sneaky season. And these past couple performances, they have not looked good. Caleb Williams has not looked good. The offense is not playing well. Um, and they are really struggling moving the ball. Coach Matt Eberflus, there was a radio call today, a radio interview with DJ Moore, the wide receiver, and they asked DJ Moore, has Coach Eberflus lost the locker room? And DJ Moore's answer was, I want to say no, which to me, that sounds like he's definitely lost the locker room. Uh, I would think here in the next couple games, if he loses a couple more games, I don't know how many games it would take, but I think the next 1, 2, 3, 4 losses, he will be fired, and they will take on an interim coach from the staff. And I think Caleb Williams will ultimately decide who the next coach will be. I think he will talk to the GM. I think he'll say, go get me my old offensive coordinator from USC, the guy that's the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders right now. I want Coach Cliff Kingsbury to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears next year. And I think that is what's going to happen. I think Cliff Kingsbury will be the head coach of the Chicago Bears next year.
Wow. Do you think that that Cliff will want to be the head coach though?
Yeah,
You
I
think?
think so.
You don't think that he would want to just stay an offensive coordinator? Have to? He doesn't have to deal with all the BS that the head coach has to do. He literally only has to do the offensive planning. He only has to worry about this. He probably, I don't know if he has a family or not, but he has probably more time with his family. Like I don't know.
Maybe.
Nowadays, the coordinators are getting paid not as good as the coaches, but depending on their negotiation tactics.
Maybe. But I think, he was already a head coach for the Cardinals. And he went to the playoffs a couple times with the Cardinals and then had a bad final season and they fired him. So I think when you get to that point, I think you get kind of addicted to the feeling of winning and being the head coach of a team that's winning and knowing that you can do that. You can put seasons like that together. And yeah, I think if Caleb Williams wants him, I think he'll want to go there and be the head coach.
Interesting. I just, for me personally, if I would much rather be a coordinator than a head coach. Plus, like, you have a really good thing what you have on the Commanders. Like, I would not want to go to the Bears, but the Bears are stacked, so I get it. I also saw this thing where when Mitch Trubisky was a quarterback, they ended up firing the head coach, grabbing a new coach with a rookie quarterback. It lasted 2 years, and then they shipped off the quarterback. Then they drafted Justin Fields. Justin Fields, halfway through his rookie year, his first couple years, they fired the coach, and then brought in a new coach, shipped out Justin Fields. So it was like, it's kind of weird how the pattern, like within the past 10 years, they've had 3 first-round quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. So, it just looks like that pattern is continuing, and Caleb Williams is going to get shipped out. But I don't think that. But if the pattern continues, that would be kind of crazy.
That would be.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting that you said that Caleb Williams is going to have a choice. That's what I thought was very, very interesting. Like, do you think that they're going to listen to like a rookie quarterback and, a first-year quarterback? Or
I mean, it seems to me that Caleb Williams already thinks he has some sort of influence on the team. I do think they'll probably go to him and talk to him about a head coach. Because he's already, I don't know if he directly said it, but one of his family members said that he doesn't want to play for the Bears coming out of the draft last year. So I would think that the Bears don't want to tick him off and have like a dispute going on with their franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I guess I get that. And then there's something about the press conference where he's like, it was the coach's decision, and stuff like that.
I hated that answer.
Yeah,
Hated that answer so much.
that was weird. That rubbed me the wrong way too.
That was some Gen Z stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Shout out to all you Gen Zers, though. You guys are the ones that watch this show. You guys are tough as nails.
Yeah.
But let's get into the Rage Cage.
All right. First, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. I'll stay because I'm kind of on topic. It's still with the Bears. This has to do with the corner Tyreek Stevenson. So this was the guy that in the Hail Mary last week against Washington, he was taunting the crowd. He did like this stuff to the crowd. He crossed his arms and then turned around and noticed that the play was going on, ran to the side where the ball was coming, tipped the ball, and it was caught behind him by Noah Brown, and they won the game. It's crazy to me how this story went, because that happens, right, where he does all that. Coach Eberflus the next day says Stevenson took full accountability for that play. He's taken a lot of responsibility for it. And then on Thursday of last week, they tell him at practice that he is no longer the starter in his position, and he leaves practice. So you're telling me, Stevenson, that you're going to taunt the crowd. You're going to do this yapping motion. You're going to cross your arms like you're taking a picture. You're going to turn around and notice the play going on, tip the ball, and lose the game for your team and think there's no repercussions coming? That is insanity to me. Of course they're going to bench you. Why wouldn't they bench you? You lost the game for them. That was an important game for the Bears, and you lost it single-handedly. And you leave practice like a little baby. Be a man. Take that thing on the chin. That is insane to me. I can't believe that happened.
Yeah, that is crazy. The fact that, like, especially because you know he's going to be a starter. All right, well, you're going to be benched this week, and then the next week you're going to start. But then you just leave practice. That's insane, bro. This is Gen Z, man. I'm just joking.
I don't know how old he is.
I know. I just put him in the Gen Z bucket. That's something a Gen Zer would do.
Except for the ones that watch this show.
Yeah, except you guys. Except you guys. That's hilarious.
What do you got for your Rage Cage today?
So, there's a difference between good organizations and bad organizations. And there's a reason why the good organizations stay good and the bad organizations stay bad. Okay? And we kind of touched on this earlier, but I'm just curious on why the fuck are we still trading with the fucking Chiefs? What the fuck are we doing? Like, especially, it's not even like if they are going out of their way and teams are fleecing the Chiefs, and getting really, really good value for their trades. D-Hop, who's arguably, people argue that he has at least the top 10 best hands in the NFL. In NFL history, actually. And you're going to be trading him for the 5th round for a 5th rounder? This is why the Tennessee Titans are never good. Because of this reason. This is why the Panthers will never be good. This is why the Cowboys will never be good, because they traded Trey Lance for a 4th round pick. So you're going to be trading a 4th round pick for a 3rd string quarterback. What? Like, what makes sense? We all play fantasy football. We wouldn't even do it. Like, what? We would get that phone call and be like, for D-Hop, I want a 4th rounder. Or a 3rd rounder. I want a 4th rounder and a 7th rounder. They'd say no. And be like, all right, he's going to stay on our team. Click. What the hell? What are we doing? And then we're going to give him to the best team in the NFL? He could have went on 31 or I guess 30 other teams and I would be okay. Maybe not the Ravens. All right, 29 different teams and he would have been okay. But you're going to give him to the best team in the NFL who was undefeated. Then all of a sudden they get better? These good teams are already good. Why do we need to give them more? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's just so frustrating that the Chiefs are going to be so dominant because of these dumbass GMs. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, and it's ruining it for the whole entire rest of the league. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, there should be a rule. No trading to the Chiefs.
Seriously. Or the fucking the Ravens. The Ravens cannot get another offensive player. Rule. The Chiefs cannot no longer do trades, period. What the fuck? What the fuck are we doing? Usually it's like a unspoken rule where you don't trade within the same division. It's like, all right, there should be an unspoken rule where you do not trade with the fucking Chiefs or the Ravens. Like, yeah, you're not going to face them in the Super Bowl or the playoffs because you're not making the playoffs. That doesn't mean that you need to go and give them more fucking weapons or make them much better. Like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like the whole Randy Moss trade. Like, what? If we had this podcast during then, that would be my number one fucking rage cage, where you're gonna trade Randy Moss to the fucking, and guess who did that? The fucking Raiders. And guess where their organization is? Fucking down the tubes. It just doesn't make sense. There's good organizations and there's bad organizations. And it's not the players that change it. It's the fucking GM, because the GM puts those players in place, drafts those players, makes trades for those players. Like, even the Steelers, like, we couldn't have gotten D-Hop. Like, I would give him a 5th round and a 6th rounder next year for D-Hop. But instead we get fucking Mike Williams. What the fuck is this bullshit? It's like,
You know what it's like?
huh?
You know what it's like?
Hmm.
It's like when one of the teams in your fantasy league, one of the bottom ones, trade away one of their marquee players to one of the teams at the top of the league for a couple of wide receiver 2s and a running back 1 fringe.
A couple wide receiver 2s? What do you mean?
D-Hop and
All right, who's wide receiver 1 then? He is wide receiver 1. And then Mooney is now the wide receiver 1 with London hurt.
I don't know. It's similar.
Or I guess
It's
Waddle.
similar.
Yeah. No. All right. Touche. Hey, good teams and bad teams. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, man.
I'm just joking, Quaz. I love you. That was hilarious.
But let's go to break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to the Do Not Disturb Football podcast, where football is forever. I'm your host, Drew Pelter. That is Nimmer Munakash.
Hey, Drew, I never asked how you were doing.
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I watched the entirety of the Chiefs Bucks game last night and got up to vote at 7 a.m. this morning, so I'm slightly tired, but that's what life
Okay.
that's what life is like on the East Coast, baby. So
And daylight savings time, man. I didn't even go into
yeah,
that, but did
that's
you
been
have
like a
to?
weird shift.
Yeah, how was it? Because you've been in Arizona for a while, so we don't change our clocks for the viewers that aren't in Arizona. So how was that?
Yeah, I hate it. Sun's going down at 4:30, so that
Whoa.
sucks. Uh,
Damn.
I feel bad for the dogs, man. Their whole feeding schedule
Mm,
shifts around for no reason, you know.
true. I
But
didn't even think about. That's what I heard. Like with babies and stuff like that too. Like their sleep schedule is completely off, and you're by the time you get them back on their sleep schedule, you're gonna have to change the clocks back again. So it's really just four
yeah,
months of just changing your schedule for a little bit. It's crazy.
yeah, I'm starting to get pretty worried about um, the winter here.
Has it been snowing at all, or what's the weather like?
The weather's been pretty nice, but at the beginning of October, it was pretty cold. Where they were like, I have this pea coat that I haven't pulled out yet. It's like a heavy pea coat for really cold days, and I thought about doing it at the beginning of October, and I was like, no, we're not there yet. And I think here in a couple weeks that thing will be worn every single day. So
Oh man, that's so funny. That, that's crazy. I can't even imagine.
yeah, I'm scared. It's weird because like a lot of people that live here in Pittsburgh say, it's not like Buffalo, New York winters. Like it's not a very snowy place. But I don't know how much I believe them because I feel like they've been living in snow for so long, you know?
Yeah, I don't.
So,
I think there. I can see that because I mean, if you look back at, I mean, granted, the only thing I know about Pittsburgh in the winter are obviously the Steeler games and it's not too snowy. It's not like Kansas City. It's not Buffalo, Green
yeah.
Bay. You never really see these like huge snow games. You see these like really, really cold ones, and there's a little bit of snow on the ground. But yeah, I I I think I kind of believe them.
Yeah, they say it's more of like a wet winter, so it
Mm.
rains.
Oh my God, that is even worse though. Oh
And
hell
there's
no.
and there's ice on the ground and
Oh my
yeah.
God, yeah, no, screw that. I would much rather have a snow than rain. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But let's get into the waiver wire report. We are in week 9, so not a ton. Not a ton of quality waiver wire pickups out there. But Nimmer, I'll start with you. Who are you looking at for the waiver wire this week?
So when it comes to running backs, literally, I don't really have anybody that on the waiver wires, even in my 14-man league, that I really would start. If so, since since I did do a trade, I made a couple trades today. I think I have 3 empty spots on my bench. um, so one person I'm gonna try to add to my bench is Dem- Demar Demaricado. Is that how you say his name? The
Oh, the Cardinals backup.
Cardinals backup. Just as just to kind of keep in my back pocket, kind of because I do have James Conner, so I would like to handicap him. Another running back that you kind of mentioned earlier is Keaton Mitchell. I think that with the season getting going on, I think that they're really going to try to cut back on Derrick Henry's snaps and save him more for the playoffs because the likelihood of them making the playoffs is really, really high. So, especially towards the end of the season, I could definitely see that happening. So, and I believe that Keaton Mitchell was probably going more of a Jameer Gibbs type of role in that offense. I can definitely see that happening. So I would hold on to him if you have an extra spot. Some of the receivers that are on in our waiver wires actually are Gabe Davis with Brian Thomas going through some injury, Christian Kirk out. That's a good ad. McLeod with London out. That's a good ad. Shepard, I think that he's filled in the spots. Um, filled in. Oops. Filled in with the spots, and we kind of saw that last night. I think he was probably the most targeted besides Otten. And then I really would try to keep Mike Williams on the bench, just in case I am wrong, and I think other people that are thinking the same thing as me is wrong. Because he might be a good wide receiver too. He might be a Waddle, Higgins type of thing, especially the way that the Steelers' offense is. Do I completely believe that? Probably not. I don't think that Arthur Smith's offense is really meant for a wide receiver too, but you never know. Russ is there. The Steelers do have a gauntlet, so keep that in mind. But when you look at waiver wires or when you're doing trades and stuff like that, make sure you look at playoffs as well, whether you're the winning team or you're the losing team, because those week 15, 16, 17 matchups are really important.
Yeah, so for running backs, really you're taking a lot of chance with these running backs. There's not a ton of options out there. The guy that interests me this week is Khalil Herbert, that was just traded to the Bengals with Zach Moss being down. You would imagine Khalil Herbert's going to step into that role that Zach Moss had. I still think that Chase Brown is going to be the running back one there, but I've liked what I've seen out of Khalil Herbert in the past, so I'm excited to see what he does in that Bengals offense. I wouldn't expect, 20-point performances out of him though. Some of those handcuff options, Nimmer mentioned Keaton Mitchell, Justice Hill, the other running back in the Ravens squad. He's another handcuff option. Roschon Johnson, I've explained him in the past. Cam Akers was getting some usage with the Vikings this past game. He might be someone you want to look at if you're really desperate for a running back. It seems like they're not they don't want Aaron Jones to have like a workhorse role. He's not giving you that 20 carry game anymore. That's not where he is in his career anymore. So Cam Akers might be a good option. He's looked good in that Vikings offense before. So, and then Tajay Spears, he's owned in 46% of leagues right now. I think he was dropped a lot last week after he got hurt. I would still try to roster him if he's like the last player on your roster. I think that's a good one to have just in case something happens to Pollard. Tight ends, I think that's probably where you're going to find the most value in the waiver wire this week. The guys that you think, or that I think you should be looking at: Jonnu Smith from the Dolphins, Mike Gesicki from the Bengals, Hunter Henry from the Patriots, and Taysom Hill from the Saints. If I were to rank which one is better than the other, right now, I think I like Jonnu Smith the most. Well, actually, no. I think I like Hunter Henry the most. Then I like Jonnu Smith. Then I like Gesicki. Then I like Taysom Hill. So do with that as you please. Wide receivers, not a ton of options. I like Noah Brown from Washington. I'd pick him up. And Parker Washington from the Jaguars, with Gabe Davis being on the injury report now. It might be time for Parker Washington to step up in a wide receiver 2 role behind Brian Thomas Jr. So those are really all the guys. If you're looking for a kicker, Jake Moody is expected to return this week. So there's that. If you're like me and had Reichert go down. So
That's good.
Let's get into the defense start of the week. So we will give you two defensive options for you if you're looking to stream defenses this week. A lot of people are in that same situation as you. Nimmer, who do you think is a defense people should be picking up off the waiver wire and adding and starting this week?
So I really think that this defense, if he's still on the waiver wire, you should add. And honestly, this might be the defense where you don't need to stream anymore. And that's the Chargers defense. I think that they've proven themselves. They're ranked 4 among our fantasy defenses. And then this week they're playing the Titans. And we all know how bad the Titans are, but let me just read you some stats. The Titans are 27th in scoring, 31 in passing, and 28th in third down conversions. So obviously the Titans defense is bad, but the Chargers, on the other hand, are first in scoring, 11th in passing, 8th in rushing, and 9th in turnovers. So I think that if the Chargers are still there, I 100% would try to grab them as soon as possible or try to get them during waivers and maybe even keep them if you're like me who needs a defense. Well, I guess I just traded for a defense, but I would definitely, if you like had the Jets defense and you drop them, I would 100% get the Chargers defense.
And for me, I have got the Giants defense, and they are playing Carolina. So that is a very advantageous opportunity for them against Washington. That they didn't have any sacks, but the 4 weeks before that, they had over 15 sacks. So they get after the quarterback pretty well. We've seen this offensive line for the Panthers. They're terrible. Bryce Young under pressure is not very good. I could see a good performance out of the Giants this week. It might be one of the only weeks where you pick up the Giants defense and they're a really good option for you this week. They are the 12th ranked defense right now in fantasy, so it's not like they're a terrible defense.
All those sacks.
Yeah. And in honor of the election night, I wanted to talk about QB candidates today. I think there's a lot of people in a predicament with their quarterbacks. A lot of people looking for a solid QB2 to take into this playoff push with you, or even if your QB1 is struggling and you're looking for someone off the waiver wire. So me and Nimmer will talk to you guys about some QB options. Nimmer, why don't you go first? Who are your QB candidates?
So I really like, and he didn't start off really hot, but now I think he caught fire. The offensive line is giving him a lot of room. He's not a mobile quarterback, so I don't think that he's going to give you points that way, but I think that his schedule is, and going into the season, I think he had the easiest schedule, and that is Kirk Cousins. I think that like I said, he's been on fire. I think that even though he's lost London, he still has Mooney, he still has Pitts, he still has Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. I mean, the list kind of goes. I guess the list stops there, but I think that he's going to do really well in playoffs. He is playing the Raiders, Giants, and Commanders, so that's a beautiful, beautiful playoff to go into, or a beautiful schedule to really go into the playoffs and really make that playoff run. So that's my QB candidate.
And for me, I have got Tua Tagovailoa from the Dolphins. Really, it's based off of his schedule. You look at his upcoming schedule. Next week, they have the Rams. The week after that, they have the Raiders. Then they have the Patriots. Then they have Green Bay and the Jets in Houston. So those last 3 defenses, that'll be around your playoff time. Those will be harder matchups, but these next 3 games I think are pretty good matchups for him. I'll give you another candidate. I like Matt Stafford from the Rams. The one thing that worries me about him is the offensive line. He tends to get hit quite a bit, but his schedule, I think, is even better than Tua's. He has Miami, New England, Philadelphia, New Orleans, New Orleans now without Marshawn Lattimore, Buffalo, and the Jets.
Hmm.
So he has a pretty nice schedule ahead of him with Puka and Cup healthy. Stafford's been putting up some pretty good points. And that's kind of how I play fantasy. A lot of my logic goes into situational football and I guess situational fantasy football. I think Matt Stafford has a pretty good situation going on right now with the record or with the schedule that he has coming up and the two dynamic receivers that he has to work with.
Yeah, no, definitely. Especially with that playoff push, I feel like anybody, since it's anybody's division, that's really going to motivate a lot of those quarterbacks in that division. Kyler, Brock would also be a good one. That those sort of things. So
Tua as well.
into it,
I
yeah,
think that with Tua, even though I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to want to try to make the playoffs as hard as they can. So I think Tua is going to be throwing the ball a lot, and there's going to be a lot of tight games that they're in where Tua has to make the plays, and he's shown that he can make those throws. So I think he's a good option on the waiver wire right now.
yeah. I mean, there's two wild card spots, right? Or
Yeah,
there's three,
two.
four. No, I think there's three, because there's
Is
four
there three now?
divisions. Yeah, because there's 7 people in the division. I mean, in
Hmm.
the playoffs, right? There's 7 people. There's 7 teams. I mean, right?
7 teams
Each
each
division,
conference.
yeah, yeah, each conference, and
Hmm.
so
Oh, I think you're right.
then that would
Yeah,
be
three.
three wild cards. So we know that for AFC, the Ravens or the Steelers are going to take one wild card spot because obviously the other one's going to win the division. So
Yeah.
then those last two, like they're kind of wide open, to be
Hmm.
honest. So the Dolphins might make that playoff push.
They really have to win a lot of games.
Yeah. Well,
They need it.
most of the AFC is like that though. It's like we have the top half up here, and then we have these 2-7 teams all the way
Yeah,
down here that are second in the division. So
that Bills game would have been a big game for them to win.
yeah, that is
They were
true.
close. They were really, really close.
That shows promise though.
Yeah, their offense. I'm with two in there. It's a very efficient offense. Everybody plays better, from Achan to Tyreek to Waddle.
Yeah.
Everybody plays better when two is there.
Yeah, definitely. And so many people, like, including my brother, is a big Tua hater. So it's like, oh, he's good because he has these weapons. He is good because he has his weapons. The Shanahan tree, Mike Daniels is blah 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 blah. But then when you take Tua out and you can see the results. I mean, you
Yeah.
kind of have to put some respect onto his name.
Yep. Definitely. But that is everything from us tonight. Darian should be back tomorrow, I think. We will be going live on TikTok tomorrow after the show. So join us on that. Do you want to say anything before we get out of here?
No, just go and vote, and may the best person win. And don't forget, people are entitled to their own opinions. It's one reason why, like, I'm not a big fan of these type of times, just because so many people are like, "Oh my God, you're voting for this person, you're a piece of crap," or "You're voting for this person, you're a dumbass." Like, I'm entitled to my own opinion. You're entitled to your own opinion. We can have different opinions. That's what makes America great. So, you know, I don't know. Just love thy neighbor, and everybody has their own opinion is entitled to their own opinion.
And they should have already voted.
Yeah, that's true.
To, Today
So
was the last day to vote.
that's a good point. How much you know? I'm not really in the politic world or any of that type of stuff. But yeah, whoops.
Yep.
It was just something I feel like I should have said.
But I guess we will know later this week or maybe even tonight who wins. It seems like it's going to be a very, very close race. So I don't think it'll be tonight, but we shall see. Join us back tomorrow. We have more fantasy football talk coming right at you. That is everything from us. Have a great night.